Aha!
Oh well, that was shocking, that was. Took all the straps off, everything seemed okay. It was difficult to see under all the straps. The edge was bonded down nicely all the way around, but in the middle it was like a big bowl of jelly, like a crappy bath panel. It was distorted and rippling and pulled all over the place. Press on it, in and out, it was awful, terrible, very disappointed. I think it's basically down to the fact there's no strength in fiberglass roof panels. There may be with carbon fibre, they may be a bit stiffer like steel, but these fiberglass ones wibbly wobbly all over the shop. So I walked away for a bit, smashed my head off the desk a couple of times, got rid of the frustration, which you have to do occasionally with these projects, tried to figure out a solution, and I think the only thing I can think of without taking the remainder of the roof off and putting a new steel roof on is to try and reinforce this fiberglass one from the inside. And somebody did mention to me that they'd seen it done before with some threaded rod bent on the inside and then fiberglassed over, so I'm going to try that. So I've got some flat bar. I don't know what it is. It looks like it's about 12mm by 3mm. I will measure it in a bit. And I've bent it into a bit of a roof shape, a bit of a hoop. You almost have to overdo it. I've found it's pointless trying to exactly replicate the shape of the roof, but yeah, just overdo it. And then the ends are going to tuck in on top of the cant rail underneath the fiberglass. So it is literally longer than the space between the cant rails, because the cant rails have got to support it. So you have to put it in slightly diagonally and then smash it round until it becomes straight. But let's see if I can move the camera and you can watch me smashing it in. I've already got 2 in, by the way. There's 2 in there. I'm going to try and put one in the middle on where the B post is. It's really difficult, but this is where I want it. I want it there. And you can see why I've overbent it. I'm trying to get it to tuck right underneath the roof. Then you have to move it across diagonally until it can it's just nicking on top of the old roof skid. Sorry, I did say on top of the cant rail, I meant to say on top of the roof skid. Right, that is I don't be asked to take it off the stand. There you go, that is in diagonally. Now I'm going to get my nylon hammer, wherever it is, and try and, this is one of these dead weight hammers. I have to move you, mate, I'm afraid. You're getting in the way. So this is where we are. I've got everything but the kitchen sink on top of this fiberglass roof, trying to squash these metal reinforcement bars against the fiberglass. So once it's all set, I've used some polyurethane adhesive there, squoze it underneath the bar. Now it's been squashed down, so those bars should stay in position. But just a quick overview now. I left 4 inches of the old roof on the front, the 2 sides. I left about 3 inches on the back. You can just see the old roof above the cant rail there. That allowed me to push these reinforcement bars between the old roof and the new roof, just to hold them in place and allow these 20mm by 3mm steel bars to get retained in each end and spring up and push the fiberglass roof up out the way. But I'll leave this overnight now, let that polyurethane set, and then roll the roof back over, see whether it holds and whether it's stabilised it and stopped making it like a plate of jelly. But yeah, it was okay on the edges, but in the middle just Mr. Wobbly. I may have made things worse by strapping it down, you know, maybe tensioning the roof up, squashing the roof even. And when I took the straps off, the roof or the mini frame relaxed, but with the fiberglass roof glued to it, it stretched and buckled it all out of proportion. So it could have been a bit of that. It could have been a bit of me being over eager when it was strapped down and sealing around here and clamping up. Again, maybe that put too much stress on the panel and buckled it. But, you know, what's the balance? I needed to strap it down to squash the fiberglass roof down. But if you over strap it down, you could distort the frame and then buckle the fiberglass when you undo the straps and let it relax. But I think my biggest conclusion is it's not strong enough on its own. This fiberglass, it needs reinforcement bars underneath. That's my conclusion. Else it's just going to be too wobbly. There's just no strength in the middle. So yeah, that's where we are, and we'll have a look in the morning and roll the shell back over, see what happens. Right, I'm back in the room, sorting my camera out. Right, this roof, fiberglass roof, give it a bit of a sand down, get all that horrible glaze off it. Some kind of lacquer on top of the paint. You can still see some of the shine on it, but I need to give it a bit more of a drilling down. But before I epoxied it, I wanted to just blend some of the contours into the roof gutter, because it is one roof sat on top of another literally, so you've got to do some blending. Obviously it's a little narrow gap you've got to work within, and then I've got to try and make good this ear splitter seam running down the outside of the gutter, because that's a little bit distorted and twisted and bent over the years. But it's getting there. There's still a couple of little ripples in the overall contours of it, but hopefully I can fill and block that. It's nowhere near as bad as it was with the steel roof on and the sunroof hole. So it's getting there slowly. It's just a lot of hours. This stuff here I've been doing the blending with, and I've been using it as well on some of the other areas where I've been welding. But I attached the front wings down there, look, around this micro clutch reinforcement panel, down on some of the other, you can see the green there, it's good stuff. I'll show you it and I'll tell you why it's good stuff. If you remember, that's the stuff there, which is the HB body grey seam sealer I used. I used that on the floor, and I used it in the boot there. Look, you can see the greyness of it there. It did dry when it went on thin like a veneer, with the ability just to give it a bit of a sanding, but in a lot of areas this HB seam sealer didn't go off. You might still be able to paint over it, but I don't want to paint over something which is still flexible. So the green stuff, which is what I've blended the roof in, is this U-Pole Dolphin glaze, and the reason that's better is because I think you need a hardener. So you've got the hardener with it, and there's a reaction and it goes hard. That's just a single coat seam sealer, single pack or whatever they call it. So yeah, I might use some of this stuff here, maybe on the underbody seams, just to get rid of it. But this stuff here is the stuff to use for having a bit of confidence, sticking it in there and sanding it down. So yeah, rammed it in there, built it up. I think there's about a couple of skims on there. Again, a lot of it in the hoover, a lot of it on the floor. I used some 60 grade Abranet there, or sandpaper with a bit of a straight edge. Get yourself running up and down it in there like that. Yeah, it's just time. It's just time. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to put some paint on that soon and then do a bit more filling on top. But the roof is there. There's a bit of sponginess. I'll just pan back so you see where I am. In this kind of rear quarter, there's still some sponginess there, because that's the unbanded hair area, and then there's still some sponginess. You can hear it in the front, and again that's the unbanded area. But this central area, which I've banded on the inside with the steel, is pretty resistant to me pressing down and doing a bit of rubbing down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the car over on the rotisserie. I'm going to run some strips of fiberglass mesh over each of these individual banded strips, and then in these central areas here where it's a bit spongy, just here, I'm just going to thicken up with a bit of fiberglass mat in there while I'm doing it, and I'll do the same here, just to try and stop that sponginess and offer a bit more resistance to me pushing down on it when I'm sanding and the like. So yeah, bit of fiberglass in next. I need to get the kit out, and then once I've done that I can paint it and it'll look a lot less like a wasp's arse. So what do we get in this kit? Well, we get the bill obviously, and this kit was £22. It comes with this fiberglass mat, which is that big. I ain't got a tape measure, so I can't measure it for you. Oh, I have. So this mat is about just under a metre, 950 and 950. So that's all the mat you get. You get some resin, you get some hardener, or you get a brush. You've got to supply your own pot, and some instructions. So there's 500 grams in there. It says put half of it in a cup, put half of the hardener in the cup with it, so you've got enough for 2 mixes. slap it all on where you want to stick it. Push this down, stipple it in and build it up, overlapping layers and such like. But let's get cutting some of these into strips. I'm going to cut them down the folded edges already, because they're pretty straight. And cut it initially into 4 strips. Get yourself a sharp pair of scissors. Wear some gloves as well. So yeah, I've cut this mat up into 12 equal strips. I've got 4 bars I'm going to cover over. So I'm having 3 strips per reinforcement bar. Got my cup. 600, what's this in grams? I'm going to mix half of this. I mean, this is millilitres, so let's give it a go. How the fuck does that come out? Do you puncture it? Or do you? Maybe you pry it off. Give this a mix. Must be the same as filler. The hardener looks the same. It's just filler without a colour. I don't know how much you're going to mix this. Let's just get the freaking stuff on before it goes hard. So flip the car back over, let's have a look what we've got on the underside of this roof. regarding the fiberglass. So yeah, the 4 steel hoops, the flat plate have all been now fiberglassed in. It's rounded them off a bit. There's a lot of resin down on these edges of the bar, and there's about 3, I think it was 3 strips of the matting bedded in and stippled in there. So yeah, that's those 4. I used one whole kit, a fiberglass kit for these 4 bars, and then I did use another kit. I bought yet another one, and you can hardly see it, but it is there. I used half of the blanket, so I think it was 3 rectangles here with some resin to stiffen up these spongy areas I mentioned earlier. And there's one in the back over there. Look, you can just kind of see the outline of the overlapping fiberglass matting, and that has really stiffened up the outside of the roof. Now what I might do is I might just quickly flip the car back over again and show you the top of the roof. Bear with us. Yeah, so here we go, here's the top of the roof, flip the car back over. Yeah, that's the underneath. You might see the matting a bit better now in the shadows. But before, this rear part of the roof was, as you remember, very flexible. That's really stiffened up, and then the front part was the same, but just with those 3 bits of matting on underneath, no reinforcement bar there. It's really stiffened up, and yeah, you can see a bit of filler I've put on there. I've got to be honest, it wasn't that bad. I think what's happened is as this roof's been on another car, and it was probably sunken in places on the previous car, I think somebody had gone round with some filler. So when I came to put the roof on this car, and I put those steel hoops in, it pushed the roof back into its convex, or its correct convex shape, and lifted the filler up to make a bulge. But on these kind of white bands here, you can see these white bands, there was quite a thickness of stuff. So it wasn't so much the roof had sunken, even though it had a little bit in that filler area. I think what it was there was some high spots created by some previous filling in some sunken areas. There was a little bit of a sunken area there, but yeah, it's looking a lot better. Still needs some titivating, but I think it's pretty much ready now. There's not much green left on it, but it's pretty much ready now for a bit of epoxy on it, just to seal it up, seal some of these little cracks up which are in there. I've done a bit of running repair on this ear splitter rail as well. A little bit of sealing with that dolphin glaze along these grooves and down into the gutter, using a very fine fillet knife and even a paintbrush to bodge the dolphin glaze down in there. So yeah, I think we've saved the day. Don't know what will happen when we get some kind of reflective coating on there, proper gloss or a lacquer. It'll probably look like a dog's iron leg, but for the moment it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, all good. Thanks for watching this video. I think next time on the next video we'll look at filling in general and shaping some of these other lumps and bumps which are on the car. So yeah, if you can, subscribe, or just leave a like. Thanks guys.
Oi, oi!